Hey, it's Soul, and today I'm here to talk about what we know so far about patch 10.0.7. Now, this is an early look at the first build, and everything is going to change, but I'm here to share some initial impressions of what to expect. Hit the like button, subscribe for more content, catch me live, and let's dive right in. Right now, there's no context to 10.0.7. We do know that we're returning to the Forbidden Reach, but there isn't any lead-in, and the questing is very limited. There is a shared hub that's home to the Hearthfire Fellowship. That's the coalition between the four major factions and the Drakthir. The island looks like the usual island of goodies, with rares all over the place, treasures and events, and tons of things to discover, like dragon riding races. New courses are being added to the zone. Dragon riding is getting a bit of an update, with air breaks. 2 new abilities are being added to the skill tree that cost 4 talent points each, which means 8 glyphs can be found throughout the Forbidden Reach. The first ability, Aerial Halt, is the air break. It reduces your momentum to practically 0 and you immediately start losing altitude. The second ability is called Airborne Recovery, which restores 1 vigor when you slow down from high speed. The idea here is to give a little bit more control for players who need a bit of time to make a precision landing or decision, making the idea of air brakes a great quality of life feature. I do have a bit of feedback though before we move on. I think that after pressing Aerial Halt, there should be at least a few seconds before starting to lose altitude. This will give the user a moment to respond to the shift in orientation before making a new decision to find a landing spot or to move on. Right now, the brakes feel a little bit too abrupt. Easing up a bit would help me achieve that feel of cresting over in elevation, because even with practice, I feel like I'm really challenging my depth perception. Moving on, one of the additional zone features include Primal Storm content, which we should be familiar with on the other Dragon Isle zones. What's especially interesting is this zone feature of breaking into vaults to discover treasures. This is an early look, but the deal is that you phase into a vault area in the zone, you explore, and you open up doors with keys that are found elsewhere, probably from rares, events, quests, and so on and so forth. This may or may not be important, but I want to make it clear that this is not instanced content per se. There doesn't seem to be any time limit on how long you can mope around here, and when you open doors, they seem to stay open forever. The vibe that I'm getting from this is that you go through this personal progression of exploring these vaults, completing quest content, and learning lore-related bits. There's a very interesting item that hints at what we'll be encountering in the coming months. There are also these items that I found in the vault, these primordial stones that can be slotted into gear. The folks over at Wowhead identified a ring that may hold these or any of the 20 plus different gems that can be found in this patch. Folks have been wondering if this is the second coming of domination shards, but I've been quick to push back on that. After all, this is a mid-patch, there's no new raid. I have nothing else to base this on, but I'm going to guess that this is going to be an outdoor content feature. It's, basically a customizable ring with which to crush your foes with. After all, there are a lot of rares out there on the Dragon Isles, many of them very spongy, some of them are pretty deadly. An item like this would help even the odds, but will it work in raids or other instance content? Now, if 9.2 and the Cypher gear from Zereth Mortis is of any indication, the answer is probably no. There's more to be found on the Forbidden Reach. Catch-up gear that's tradable account-wide ensures that 10.0.7 is trying to elevate players to an item level around the mid-380s pretty quickly. There are also new knowledge books that can be found here, which I find to be an interesting way of helping newer players or alts catch up with professions by, basically increasing the number of points that can be earned in a given week. I feel like this won't impact established crafters too much, who are already on their way to mastering a number of proficiencies, but it'll be of great help to newcomers. Overall, the vibe that I'm getting from this place is similar to what we've got in 10.05, which is more to do if we want to. Folks mostly into the accolades of Big 3 content don't need to feel rushed to come back for this. Those who are interested in the everyday life, as in living in the Dragon Isles and the world of Warcraft, are going to have more to do for their main and alts. Moving away from the Forbidden Reach, the Heritage armor sets for humans and orcs have been revealed a little bit more. Notice that this Wowhead screenshot displays the human armor with less armor, but it's still fully clothed, which tells me that there's a bit of friendliness with mixing and matching. There's long skirt variants as well as different colors to represent the different kingdoms. The orc variants aren't as varied, with the exception of flags, but at least we got a first look. I hope to see more pronounced differences as we get into future builds. The Winter Pelt Furbolg faction can finally be worked on in this patch. They seem to be treated like a regular reputation, with rewards that are mostly cosmetic in nature, so at least when it comes to rewards, the idea of alt friendliness isn't too big of a deal. There's even a reagent bag that can be traded around. We just don't know if there's a separate or unique currency, but otherwise it's cool that this is account tradable. As for how to rep up with them, so far that's not testable. What's also not testable, and what we have even less of an idea of at the moment, are these ancient formulas to unlock crafting recipes from old world content. The recipes themselves are in fact vanilla recipes using vanilla materials, so given that this gear is unique, demand for these materials is gonna rise. But I'm not quite sure where to obtain these recipes. The tooltip says that they're sourced in Zul'Gurub, but after clearing it, I didn't get any recipes, so we'll have to wait and see. I also double checked this, none of these recipes show up as something that could be made via crafting order. These ancient plans will likely be made and sold through the auction house. And that's kind of it right now. Again, this is a very early look. Patch 10.07 may launch at the end of March if everything goes smoothly, and as we get closer and learn more information, you can bet that I'll be here to share it with you. Please like the video if it was at all helpful, subscribe for more content, catch me live on Twitch, and I'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.